the last time that I checked, Republicans continue to offer us concepts of a plan instead of actual plans because they would rather campaign on the chaos instead of fixing it.
Representative Jasmine Crockett dismantles Donald Trump's immigration narrative piece by piece and says the quiet part out loud. She calls out Trump's agenda as openly racist, unconstitutional, and rooted in cruelty, not public safety. Crockett exposes how immigrants are being scapegoated while the real problems remain untouched: unaffordable housing, rising grocery prices, stagnant wages, outsourced jobs, and a healthcare system that Republicans refuse to fix. She points to the largest and most inhumane deportation program in modern American history and asks the obvious question: if immigrants are the problem, why is everything still broken?
President Trump has made it clear that he only opposes lawful immigration when non-white people immigrate to the United States. His immigration agenda isn't about public safety or economic stability or jobs. It's about racism. It was racist during his first administration. It's racist now. And like his first administration, he's hired a bunch of racists to carry it out. In fact, I'm gonna pause here really quickly. I know we're talking about TPS, but I don't know if anyone else has mentioned the fact that ICE agents were literally dragging a pregnant woman just this week in a viral video. So don't tell me that this isn't about cruelty, because it is. Moving on. The president is now on record admitting to calling majority Black and brown nations, quote, shithole countries. He consistently refers to Black and brown people as, quote, low IQ, stupid, or nasty. His agenda is about one thing: giving racial preference to specific people seeking to immigrate to America, which is illegal and unconstitutional. But nevertheless, they are going to keep trying to get y'all to believe that immigrants are the cause of all your problems. But here's the truth. Immigrants are not responsible for a billionaire CEO refusing to increase your wage. The corporation you work for isn't replacing your job with artificial intelligence because of Haitian refugees. Your landlord isn't increasing your rent because someone who's fleeing gang violence in Central America moved into your community. A Palestinian kid who was afforded a scholarship to study at an American university isn't responsible for your child's tuition increasing. Latino farm workers aren't responsible for prices of your groceries increasing. Let's be clear, blaming migrants and deporting migrants and ending TPS won't improve the lives of most Americans. As you can see, we're in the middle of the largest, most inhumane deportation program in American history. And guess what? Housing is still unaffordable. Healthcare is still too expensive. Groceries are still too expensive. Wages aren't keeping up with inflation. Jobs are still being outsourced. So maybe it's not the immigrants. Maybe it's the failed Republican policies. In my state of Texas, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the governor's mansion. In the United States, the Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Maybe it's the fact that Republicans would rather give permanent tax cuts to billionaires, but won't even give middle-class Americans temporary health care benefits. Maybe it's the fact that President Trump has the wealthiest cabinet in American history, and these people are out of touch with the American public. Now, Mr. Williams, will ending TPS help or hurt the finishing trades industry your union members work in?
It will hurt the construction industry as a whole.
Let me tell you this, or let me ask you this ain't in here. Has it already hurt the construction industry?
It has, because of the fear and uncertainty.
There's a lot of fear. There are workers that are not showing up to their jobs, regardless of their status, because of how immigration is being carried out under this administration. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Will ending TPS help or hurt job site safety?
It will hurt job site safety.
Will ending TPS help or hurt affordability in our communities?
It will hurt affordability in our community.
Exactly. As people are complaining about the fact that housing is up, you've got to think about what those input costs look like. Those input costs, besides the fact that he's been reckless and ridiculous and not been reined in as it relates to the tariffs, and we know that we get a lot of lumber out of Canada. We want to fight with Canada. We want to fight with Mexico. And then we want to tell people that have come here and are going through the process. And I'm not going to say that any process is perfect, but the last time that I checked, Republicans continue to offer us concepts of a plan instead of actual plans because they would rather campaign on the chaos instead of fixing it. Listen, none of us sitting here, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, wants to be unsafe in our country. I want to be clear. I don't want a criminal in my neighborhood either. But going after all of these countries, when we talk about, it looks like they want to end TPS for Burma and El Salvador and Ethiopia and Haiti and Lebanon and Somalia and South Sudan and Syria. They actually do have Ukraine got extended a little bit and Yemen got extended a little bit. But the vast majority of these countries, there's one thing in common. A lot of those people from those countries have a little bit of melanin in their skin. With that, I will yield.
Well, Dr. Ali, I want to ask you, is Crockett onto something? Are these policies racist and unconstitutional?
Well, I'll say it like my auntie would say is, Congresswoman Crockett just told it like a TI is, because everything that she laid out is the truth. I mean, all you have to do is look at the sets of actions that are there and whom they are focusing upon. So let's be very clear. If America was serious about immigration reform, it has had the opportunity to create 21st century immigration policy that's full of justice and equality and fairness. And we know that the current president actually blocked folks from actually moving forward on a very conservative immigration bill because they were not interested in actually putting anything in place that could help us to address the issue that is at hand. So, if you vote for evil, you are going to get evil policy. You are going to get evil actions. And ultimately, you are going to begin to just completely break down every sensibility that exists inside of a country. So, yes, we can talk about it in the nuts and bolts of policy and law, but we also have to bring spirituality into this conversation because these sets of actions are inhuman. And that's just the reality of what we're seeing play out.
Dr. Walker, what's your response?
Yeah, I think one of the things to keep in mind is as we, move to 2026, that these policies, a lot of these individuals have jobs. And we just, obviously highlighted here this construction in particular, but they work in all kinds of industries. And if those individuals are showing up for work, their kids aren't showing up for school, it negatively impacts the United States and the U.S. economy. We talked about, Mr. Brown talked about that we're not getting the correct statistics that we really should be. And I agree. And I think as, we continue to debate this issue over, immigration, and there are millions of Americans that voted for this. And we need to have a question about morality because for those who supported these policies, and the things we've highlighted just on the show tonight or on a number of other shows on during this hour when we talk to Roland and other guests, is that we see a trend that will continue to 2026. And quite frankly, some of the plans that the administration has or will continue to implement are diabolical. And they're the kind of things that, the UN historically would say these are human rights violations in terms of how we're incarcerating people and how people are terrified living in their own communities and refuse to show up for work or school. And so it's a moral quandary for this country that we're going to have to figure out now because of a purported democracy in which we're supposed to be, we're losing it quickly.
Mr. Brown.
Well, as usual, Congresswoman Crockett lays it out so everyone can understand, and she's exactly right. As we talk about, as the good doctor just mentioned, elections have consequences. And for folks that got bamboozled by this con man, they have another chance, another bite at the apple in less than a year. and can basically say, you know what, I know they'll never acknowledge, and a lot of us have friends that voted for 47 and tried to make up excuses of why. And now, of course, they all regret it, but they don't want to say it because they don't want to, obviously, any of us to say, we told you so. But nonetheless, they have another chance for more humane or at least legitimate debate in the halls of Congress about what is the best path for immigration. Clearly, this is not it. Because when white supremacy is at the center of what your policies are all about, it's not going to change. They don't care about what a court says. They don't care about, frankly, what we say on this show or other pundits say on other shows. They want to make sure that they make this country as less brown and black as possible. And that's really the goal. And a lot of people could care less about policy as long as that is the agenda. So they have another bite at the apple, hopefully in less than a year. Hakeem Jeffries will have the gavel, and it won't stop these terrible and mean, inhumane policies, but it certainly can put some hurdles and some speed bumps in that path. And frankly, if we get even luckier and the Senate, which is now in play, very difficult, but if even the Senate flips, I mean, then obviously then the agenda does stop. So let's just see what happens, and hopefully people pull the lever the right way this time.
It's another reminder about just how important it is to vote.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory. Attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.